Yo, yo, what's good, y'all? It's Keys. Peace. Um, Today, topic of discussion will be dating. Dating as it applies to the non-traditional male experience. Um, don't judge. Don't judge. Um, Today I want to talk about dating as a non-traditional guy and what that experience is like, or rather, what it can be like. Um, Obviously, I'm not an expert on being, uh, I guess, a non-traditional guy in that capacity. Um, Nor am I a dating expert. So let's just put that out there. So like this. Um, what I will talk about though in detail is probably my own experience, and I am probably mostly my own experience. Um, to just kind of use that as a platform for conversation. Uh, in the last video that I posted, which was my first video that I posted, I talked a bit about adjusting socially as a non-traditional guy, um, in just spaces with other guys, guys who are traditional guys. And I think dating is one of those things. I think dating is one of those things that is also something that's an adjustment. It's kind of hard to figure out at times. Most of us uh, usually have issues uh, roughly about between year 1 and 2, and it's complicated. It's really complicated, and it's gray. I know for myself, prior to transition, um, from the time that I started like dating and figuring out like who I was and what was going on with me, um, I dated quite a few women who were into women. Um, and throughout the years, I saw a very significant change with that, and within transition, adjusting to dating became something that was a struggle. And again, I felt like in between year 1 and 2 was probably for myself one of the more complicated times. Um, Mainly because for me then it was new. Clearly for me now, it's still somewhat of a struggle, even though I'm involved. But for the most part, it's something that I've learned to adjust to. But it took a time. It took a bit of time. It took a little bit of while before I got to that place and was able to find out like how to maneuver within the experience. Um, I find for myself, in terms of dating, it's a lot easier for me uh, to meet any potential uh, partner, mate, whatever you choose, um, in a very mutual sort of way, in a way where we're exposed to the same sorts of maybe friends, possibly circles, not completely, not in that way. I mean, I don't be dating a bunch of folks in the same circle, but it does make it easier for me. I find when I meet someone through a mutual friend, um, who's aware and just kind of knows. Um, Not that I feel like it's okay necessarily to disclose, um, if you're not me. uh, but I feel like the level of comfortability that exists with having that conversation um, about my experience, it does make it a lot easier. It makes it a lot easier to have the conversation to really talk about my past and my present in relation to myself. And just being a non-traditional guy, it does make it a lot easier. Um, but I think that with being a non-traditional guy, there is this really weird like gray sort of area that exists. I mean, dating women who like women at times is quite a conflict of interest. Um, well, I should say dating women who prefer to only date women um, can be quite difficult at times. It can be quite difficult at times, and there's challenges there, especially when we're talking about identity. If it's someone who is lesbian identified, that's complicated. It really is. It can be complicated. I think for the most part, it is possible um, to date, but it is one of those things where there needs to be this sort of unsaid, I don't know, sort of rule between the two of you around security. The person that you're dating would obviously need to be secure in their own identity, and you would need to be heavily secure in yours in order for that conflict to really not exist. Um, but I think at times it's something that will, it will present itself. It's not just going to disappear, and it's not going to be one of those things that just, kind of hides. You just got to find ways to allow yourself to be a part of that without getting caught up in the politics of what it means to be in a relationship with someone who is dating a guy who identifies as a lesbian, normally, only dates women. For the most part, yeah, you really got to try to find some sort of medium ground and make that work in your experience. But I do find that, for myself personally, I find that it is quite a conflict of interest at times, and it's something that is daunting, and I don't usually care to deal with at this point. Um, and then, of course, dating women who like guys is clearly cool. It's cool for a number of reasons. One being presentation, and two being what to expect in the relationship in terms of roles, which I don't think roles are completely necessary in a relationship, but I think that uh, being a guy dating a girl, you know, Western culture, civilization, and just man in general, time in general, has kind of created this sort of unsaid experience that just exists where men have roles and women have roles that are very specific, not only to their sex, but definitely to their gender. Um, for me, I'm all right with that. Like, for me, I'm okay. I'm okay most of the time. Um, However, if it's someone that uh, isn't necessarily queer identified, and it's not really known like socially amongst her friend base, what kind of guy she's into, and that sort of thing. And I mean like very specific in detail, not necessarily like a sweet guy, nice guy, an asshole, or anything like that. Because of course, non-traditional guys are those things too. But I mean very intimately. Um, Not that it's anyone's personal business. In my personal opinion, in my opinion, I feel like it's not. It's not really anyone's business. Who you're into, what you're into, how you get down. Um, However, those those things, who you're with, who you're seeing, um, detailed information, sometimes can be a hindrance and scary when the female has to process it and really has to think about the possibility of people finding out, what that could be like. Again, if she's a woman who generally only dates traditional males, not non-traditional males. I think that's a little bit different. Uh, I would have to say that for the most part, allow yourself to be comfortable in your own experience enough to explore and like chart the unknown, and hopefully that can and it will work out. Maybe it'll work itself out, maybe it won't. But the best way to really figure it out is by experience, is by allowing yourself to have those experiences, to know exactly what it is that you're looking for, and ultimately to know what sorts of people, not even just women, but people would really be compatible with you. So, questions, comments, you know the drill.